Hey everyone, how's it going? I hope y'all are having a really wonderful day. So today I wanted to share with you all a plant update because this is something that you all have been requesting over and over and over again in my comments. And I love that y'all are so interested in my plants because I love talking about them and I do love my plants so much. So I'm really excited to give you all a little update on some of my plants. Not all of them because I do have a lot. So there are a few out there scattered around the house that are not behind me, but I will give you an update on the ones that you have been asking for updates on. So I say we get started. First, I'm going to talk about my bird of paradise, which is right here, right behind me. And this plant has been growing so tall ever since I got it. I think it's grown maybe 2 feet taller or something like that. And it is currently growing 2 new leaves simultaneously, so I can't wait for those to uncurl and open up because they're beautiful. And so yeah, I love this bird of paradise. It is gorgeous and it makes me so happy. Now, this next plant that I'm going to talk about is my maidenhair plant. And you all have asked so many questions about how it's doing. And so let me get it so that I can talk to you about it. So this is my maidenhair. I got this a really long time ago. I don't actually remember when I got it, but I made the mistake of getting it on a whim without really doing my proper research and learning more about it. Ever since then, I've done a lot of research, but I did have it in a separate pot at first that didn't have any holes at the bottom, and I didn't realize it didn't have any holes. And so upon getting my plant, I watered it and left it outside in the rain, and it got so much root rot that it ended up kind of dying and not really doing well. But I revived it with a lot of TLC and a lot of care and a lot of research, and so it is a really happy plant. As you can see, it's got a lot of very bright colored leaves. These are all fresh leaves, and it's got new growth in the back. You can't really see it too well, but it's got little leaves that are curled up that are going to open up soon. But this is a really happy plant. I love a maidenhair. I will say it's a really difficult plant to take care of. So if you're thinking about getting this, please do your research because they require a lot of humidity and just the right amount of sunlight and a lot of care. But it is a really gorgeous plant, so I really do recommend getting it if you know how to take care of them. Another plant I wanted to talk about is this one. I've called it a satin pothos all this time, like silver satin pothos, but a lot of you out there say that it's a silver philodendron, so I'm not actually sure what this is. But I do love this plant. It's a vine, I know that. It's a spotted vine with silver spots, and it's beautiful. And I do think it's a satin pothos, but I also think it's a silver philodendron, so I'm not really sure. Y'all can tell me in the comments what this is. But this is what I consider the parent plant. This is the first one that I got. And ever since then, I've made a lot of cuttings and propagated them. And so I'm going to show you now some of the propagated plants that have come from the parent plant. So this right here is one of them that I have that's growing really beautifully. And this was a cutting that I had, and usually the cuttings have only 2 or 3 leaves or maybe 4 leaves max. And so as you can see, this has grown quite a lot since then. Here is another one that has grown quite a bit, and it is super long, has tons of leaves, and is really happy. I also have this one that is really healthy, growing new leaves. And lastly, I have this one where I put several cuttings. In the other ones, you saw about 2 cuttings per pot. This one has, I think, 3 or 4, or 5 actually, I'm not sure. But it's growing really healthy. And this one is brand new. I basically put these cuttings in here not too long ago, so they are starting to grow, and I can't wait to see them grow even more. This next plant that I'm going to talk about is a praying plant, which I like to call our praying mantis. I do like to give our plants names. And this one was actually picked out by Chris because he really liked it. And right here you can see that it's got a little purple flower that's growing and some other ones that are about to bloom. And it's got curled leaves that are going to uncurl and eventually open up. One thing that's really interesting about this plant is that it grows really quickly. So when we first got it, it only had a couple leaves, and since then it's grown like a ton more leaves. And this plant moves depending on daylight and nighttime and whatnot. So you'll see it fold upwards at night, and then in the daytime it'll fold downwards, like it'll open up, almost like the entire plant is a flower. And so it's really cool to see the plant close up at night and then open up in the day. And I didn't actually know that it flowered, so the flowers were a surprise. Now this next vine I've talked about before. This plant is the one that I rescued from the trash because someone had left it next to the trash to be thrown away. And I rescued it. It had hardly any leaves, and the leaves that it did have were brown. But ever since then, look at it. It is so healthy, so long. Oh my goodness. I think I'm gonna have to propagate this one soon because this is getting out of control. But it is such a gorgeous plant, extremely, extremely beautiful. And I just love the different colors that the leaves have. This next one is another vine that I rescued. This one was dying when I found it, and I decided to take it home and basically try to revive it, and I'd say it's pretty happy. Up next are my two little cacti, which are really happy. They haven't really changed much ever since I got them, which is a good thing. They haven't necessarily grown taller or looked like they need more water or anything like that. I give them minimal water when they need them. Other than that, they're really easy to take care of, really aesthetic, and these sit out on our balcony so they can get plenty of sunshine. This right here is one of my succulents that, as you can see, is really happy and has gotten a lot of sun. And you can tell that it's gotten a lot of sun because its tips are bright pink. You'll notice that a lot of succulents that don't get enough sun will lose their color or grow extremely tall because they're trying to reach some sunlight. And so this one is pretty happy. Speaking of succulents, I am currently propagating a couple of succulents, and this is my first time really trying to propagate them. And so all I did is basically do research on how to propagate succulents, take off their leaves, and then I laid them all here, sprayed them with water every now and then, and there are little new succulents growing and their roots are starting to grow as well. Now this right here is my black succulent that unfortunately did not like the winter. So I did have to cut off all its dead leaves and replant it. But so far it's been pretty happy. It got its color back because it lost a lot of its color because it wasn't getting enough sunlight. It's really difficult to have succulents and cacti in Washington because we don't get a lot of sun. And especially in the winter, it's all cloudy. But this one is fairly happy so far. And I'm going to take a lot of good care of it so that I can keep on growing and keeping happy and continue to have its color. And now that it's almost summer, I think it'll be a really happy succulent. I'm starting to realize that I rescue a lot of plants. This next one is another plant that I rescued. When I found this one, I found it dying. Like the roots weren't even in the soil. It was so unhappy, but it did have some hope. I could tell that the leaves were green and alive, and that even though the roots were not even under the soil, for some reason they were still getting moisture, so the plant was alive. And I decided to repot it and take off all the dead leaves, and this is how it's growing so far, and I'm so happy with it. I'm so happy with how much it's grown, and I'm so proud of it. Yeah, I'm really attached to this plant. I think it's beautiful, and I'm just really happy that it has survived. All right, next up we have our Asparagus Ferns, which I love. This one is Matcha. You all have been introduced to Matcha before, and Matcha is really happy. I don't think Matcha gets enough humidity, and especially now that it's almost summer, I think it's going to struggle a little bit because I do like a lot of humidity, but I do miss my plants, so I'll do my best to take care of our Asparagus Ferns. But yeah, this is Matcha. Here's a little update. Matcha's doing great. And then our other Asparagus Fern, which is much, much larger, is Latte, and Latte is really happy. It really likes to grow tall. Latte loves being tall, and so yeah, I love this. I love to take baths and take Matcha and Latte in the bath with me so they can get a lot of humidity because I take really warm baths, and Latte is doing great too. And so soft. Love it. I love Asparagus Ferns. Next up is Harry Potter, which I call it that because when I got it, it had a scar like Harry Potter has his scar. I also call this my Pterodactyl plant because it reminds me of pterodactyls. Not sure why, just does. But this plant is really happy, grown new leaves and has maintained its dark color, which is good. It means it's getting enough sunlight. And yeah, it's a really happy plant, really aesthetic, really beautiful, and definitely likes to grow in this direction because that's where the sunlight is. And so if I turn around, you'll see like no leaves. It's all growing in one direction. But this is a really happy plant. Oh, and it's actually growing a new leaf right now, right here. I'm excited for that to open up. So there you go. That is my plant update that a lot of you have been requesting for a really long time now. So I really hope that you all liked it. And if you did, you can go ahead and give this a like. And if you have any questions for me about plants or any comments that you'd like to let me know about how to take care of my plants, any tips, anything like that, I would love to hear them in the comments down below. And if you're not subscribed already, please go ahead and subscribe if you'd like. And I really hope that you'll like this, and I will see you next time. Bye!